Hey, now Gibbons here.
Hey, what's up, Billy? Dave Lawrence, Hawaii Public Radio.
Yeah, man.
How you been?
Sorry, we were in the middle of something crazy, loud music, as you know.
Not a surprise there, my brother. Can you hear me all right, speaking aloud?
I can. Yeah, I'm on a cell phone in the darkened corner, so if we get lucky, we won't have any dropouts.
It sounds real good at the moment, man. I appreciate it. And as we get started, I just let you know that story's a big part of what we do. It's Afternoon Drive that I'll be recording for public radio. So, and I've tried to get some good questions here that hopefully will be things you're passionate about. And
yeah,
just to give you that idea. But first and foremost, it's a real thrill. We have Billy F. Gibbons, legendary voice and guitar, the one and only ZZ Top, May 17th, 18th, and 19th, Blue Note, Hawaii, 7 p.m. each night. And just an extraordinary thrill and a huge honor to welcome you. Thank you so much for taking time for us, Billy.
Oh, yeah, it is. Good to talk to you, sir. Kind sir. We're getting excited about coming over to Blue Note.
I bet you are. And I'm guessing a lot of people are also excited here, but they're also super curious because, as you know, you've been mostly associated with ZZ Top for half a century plus and some more recent solo efforts since 2015. But for most folks, they're probably curious what's going to happen at these shows in terms of the music you're going to be playing, the band who's going to be joining you.
Well, bring your dancing shoes. The earplugs are optional. We're going to just turn it up and make some loud noise. It's a famous room. It's a good place to have a really, really good time. I've got, I borrowed the famous B3, the Hammond B3 keyboardist, Mr. Mike Flanagan.
Oh, wow.
He's joining us from Jimmy Vaughn's outfit. And of course, somebody said, who's banging the big backbeat? Kenny Aronoff.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be an interesting collision of like-minded individuals there.
Kenny's a monster. Wow, you've got the serious, and same with Mike. That's unbelievable. And do you do a set list, or is it more like the Grateful Dead or Fish, kind of just winging it? How will it be for those 3 nights?
A little of both. There's some obvious call-outs. Fortunately, I've been able to work outside of ZZ Top with what we call the BFGs.
Right.
Flanagan has been kind enough to loan his fancy finger work on the Hammond B3, along with Kenny, and this makes another round where we can pull from previous exchanges and then let it fly as we will as we go along. It's going to be a little of everything.
That's giant. Well, that gives people a huge, and they can look on the YouTube as I have and see what some of the BFG shows are all about. And the F, you know, I grew up with the Top, not in the early era, but certainly I was born in 1970, so clearly in a later period of the group, but was way into music early. And was it to honor your dad, Frederick, or Freddie, as he's known to many people, that made you break out the F in Billy F. Gibbons, which seems a bit more intentional in the mix of usage these days?
Oh, yeah. I was lucky in that the F does offer a bit of a tribute to my dad, Freddie. Someone else said, "Well, we've heard the F stands for something else." And I said, "Well, we're going to let that stand." And then there's numerology. You know, the letter F kind of balanced out between the word Billy and the last name Gibbons, and now we got the whole string.
Wow.
so get ready. We're gonna bring the whole string with.
And people, if they check out Billy's website, where you can learn more about Billy and certainly some of the solo projects that he's been doing more recently, hardware and stuff, all kinds of things that he's been up to. One of your merch items is a good way to get into some of your history, I think. You have a hot sauce, I noticed, and I love hot sauce, among many merch things for folks. How involved in the Billy Gibbons hot sauce are you?
Man, that came as a big surprise. I've been working with another hard rocker, a gentleman by the name of Tim Montana. He's got a pretty righteous and raggedy rock song called Devil You Know.
Okay.
It's been topping the charts for, the last few months. But it goes back to working with Tim. We were in the studio together, and we were on a bit of a break, and I asked the engineer where Tim happened to be. He said, he's up in the commissary. I said, well, what's he doing up there? He said, well, he's making hot sauce. And I said, no, I'm the hot sauce guy. So a little skirmish ensued, and then by the end of the kitchen flavors, Tim and I decided that what we had come up with collectively deserved to be put in a bottle, which we did. We had about 6 empty bottles. I said, well, we spanked a plank for most of the time. I said, I don't know if we've got time to be making hot sauce. But shortly thereafter, we found ourselves down in San Antonio, Texas. Both of us had a day off. ZZ Top was scheduled to play the San Antonio Rodeo on a Saturday afternoon, and Tim Montana and his outfit was across town, also in San Antonio, later that Saturday night. So on the Friday, we were at a Mexican restaurant, and Tim leaned over and said, man, there's some dude, he's checking us out, he's staring us down, but he's got on a nice suit, and he's wearing a tie. I don't know what he's... Finally, the gentleman walked over, and he said, excuse me, he said, I've noticed you fellas are you're using it looks like a hot sauce out of a bottle, but you're not using what the restaurant is serving. I said, no, we cooked this up. He said, do you mind if I try? And I said, no, sit down, man. He emptied about half the bottle, and finally he said, where can I get this? And I said, well, we haven't really gotten that far. This is just kind of he said, well, I'm the hot sauce buyer for H-E-B food chain out of Texas. I want it.
Whoa.
So off and running, we finished up writing the song, and then I said, Tim, you better get your pencil and paper handy and put that recipe down. I said, yeah, okay.
I love it.
Yeah, you can get it online, and it's been doing fine.
What a great story, though. The luck. I don't know whether you would say meant to happen, fate of having that cat who had that kind of gig see you guys together.
Indeed, yeah, it was kind of luck of the draw, I guess,
right,
is the word you'd say.
Well, similarly, because I was thinking about that, and it made me think about your earliest years of life. Because when I think of Texas, I think about barbecue and Tex-Mex and chili and Mexican food and stuff. And what a huge set of early musical experiences we need to cover when we give your mother and father the most enormous aloha and mahalo for what they seem to have inspired in you when I study about that. And it's very touching. Frederick and Lorraine. And
yeah.
From online reading, and you correct me, please, if I have this stuff wrong, but I've seen it noted that your pop was an entertainer, an orchestra conductor, concert pianist. He worked at MGM, had what seems like a profound influence on you, along with Mom, who chronologically we start with, because according to the data I have, your mom took you to see The King at 5 years old. Can you recall any of how you got taken to see Elvis Presley at 5 years old by your mom?
Yes, well, she said, come on, we're going to go see Elvis. I had a nominal fascination for what was breaking out, and all I was told to do is hold your little sister's hand. She's coming too. So the three of us, I think my dad was out on a gig, and we wound up seeing the original Elvis Presley presentation, which was just off the chain. This guy was doing it, and I just remember saying, "Yeah, okay, that's it. That'll do." And that kind of lit the fuse. And of course, I as the story went on, my dad, a couple of years went by, and my dad said, "Hey, by the way," he said, "I've got some work to do over at Bill Holford's studio. You want to go along?" I said, "Yeah, sure, that's fine." By this time, I was 7. I remember I was 7 years old, just turned 7 years old. I went into the studio, and my dad said, "Go and sit in that chair and don't make a fuss. There's a band coming in. You're gonna see somebody make a record." And I was like so excited. I said, "Oh wow, making a record!" It was B.B. King and his orchestra.
Yep. Unbelievable. 7 years old, a BB recording session, and you get, is it one day, a couple hours, several hours?
We were there for, well, all it took was once they lit the fuse, I saw BB bend a couple of notes, and I went, "Okay, Elvis, now I got it. And that's what we need to do."
Did he? I know there were lots of things later in life that would come back through with BB, but did you stay connected from that very point, or did you ever get to tell him the story of how important that was?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you how crazy it got when BB was he was nearing the landmark, turning 80 years old. There was a project that had been dreamed up to create a series of recording sessions in tribute to celebrate BB turning 80.
Right, I remember them. And
I got a phone call with an invitation to participate, and I said, "Oh, gee, what an honor that'd be." That's it. On the way to the session, I was with my buddy Tom Vickers, and Tom had spoken with the arrangers, and I said, "By the way," I said, "you got any idea what they want me to do? What's BB up to?" And he said, "Oh, it's quite an old song. They recorded it quite a while back. They've had a couple of versions actually. It's called 'I'm Tired of Your Jive.'" He said, "Do you think you can do it?" I said, "Well, yeah, I was there
when they did it.
I was there when it first went down." He said, "No, this is back in the 50s." I said, "I was in the studio." So I got to the studio, and we were in the control room. There was B.B. King sharing stories with Bobby Bland. They were going back to the early days of Memphis. And then finally, Bobby, he politely bowed out. He said, "Yeah, I got something to let you guys get onto it." BB said, "Well, you tuned up? You ready to go strike some strings?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, by the way," he said, "we're going to do this song, 'I'm Tired of Your Jive.' You think you can handle it?" I said, "Well, yeah. Are we going to do the same version from the 50s? He said, "Well, what would you know about the 50s? I said, "I was in the studio." He said, "You're the little white boy in the chair?" I said, "Yeah."
Oh boy! Wow.
He remembered, and good grief, it was quite the. In fact, there's on YouTube. Somebody filmed. I sat in with BB, and he said, "Come on, tell me some stories." And the concert hall was packed, and everybody was patient enough to hear this and that, and I was able to recount.
Oh wow, the story,
the tale. You'll have to go on YouTube and search it out, because there's a funny ending to that bit of the story.
Oh, I bet.
I'll leave it to your imagination until you see it.
I love that, and it's so cool that you got to tell that again in a concert place and retell this amazing, thing that your pop did for you, essentially, because it changed a lot of things. Now, the thing about you, Kat, that I've been listening to this stuff for so long and didn't really know a lot about your early years, but something that blew my mind, and you've talked about it a lot, but when it comes to the multicultural aspect of what America is, when it comes to who you really are as a person, your dad sends you to New York City to study with one of the most legendary percussionists of all time. I only got to see this guy once. It was like 1996 when I lived in Boston, and I made my business to go down. It was a Sunday afternoon in the snow at some convention center. He was doing a very rare appearance late in his life, but I made my business to get there because I wanted to see Tito Puente, who greeted you at the door.
I was hoping you'd say Tito Puente. Yeah, man.
What a cool line he said too. And you took a plane. I don't know. Just start from wherever you can because it's got to be one of your greatest. You got a lot of great stories, but to me, this is a huge one.
Well, growing up, starting out, I had a couple of pencils and a metal a trash can. I turned it upside down and had a little recessed lip, and I could get a rim shot, and I was banging on things all around the house. My dad finally said, listen, if you're going to keep beating on everything, let's make sure you learn how to do it right. And I was about 12 years old. Next thing I know, I was on a plane to New York City by myself, got on the subway over to Spanish Harlem, and wound up knocking on a door, and unbeknownst to me, my dad had kind of set the stage, and the door swung open, and there was 2 timbali sticks being shoved at me saying, tell me what you want to learn how to play. And we went ran the gamut. If it was Latin percussion, it was going to be done and done right. Congos, bongos, pescado, claves, you name it.
You were 12 years old.
Yep.
Where did you stay?
I was uptown in some hotel, and my dad had quite a number of friends, and my Uncle Bill, who lived in Manhattan, he was making sure that everything was in order, and he made sure I didn't miss the subway, and he said, come on, you got to make this right. But I got to say, you, me, and a gazillion of fans, I guess it would not surprise me to find every single solitary person that was treated to watch the master at work. That was Latin percussion at its finest.
Oh, the man was he was one of a kind. Excuse me, and I was thrilled very, very late in his life to get to do that. Now, how many weeks did you actually stay there in New York doing this?
I was there 6 weeks.
Every day? How many days a week were you studying with him?
Almost every day.
Oh,
he was off the road. I actually went to a couple of recording sessions, and he didn't want to leave me behind. He said, "Come on." He said, "We're going uptown." I said, "All right." And by and large, it was it wasn't too much. The big challenge was taking a gulp and a big breath of air just to make sure I had to pinch myself. This is going to be taking a master class from the king.
Oh, of course. And someone, and at that age, of course, 12 years old, if you can, my gosh, thinking about, and through your life, did you stay in touch with him? Did you see him as an adult in concert?
Oh, yeah, definitely. In fact, you mentioned you were fortunate in catching one of the closing performances
sure.
during his great lifespan. I, too, found a day off, a rare day off, allowed me to catch a show. We were on the West Coast, and he was doing he had reassembled one of the bigger outfits that over the years he had put together. He did everything from small trio outfits to 15-piece full-on, just everything you can imagine. And this was one of those great nights where my favorite was a little trick that pleased everybody to no end. He found a way to take the timbale stick in his left hand. He was heavy hitter on the right hand, but he'd take the stick and put it between his fingers, and he would flutter it like a bird floating around the timbales.
Wow. That's a visual gag.
He would be whistling at the time. It was just something so entertaining, just full show business.
Totally, yeah. And still at that later point in his life, you're saying, too, which just says a lot. You know, we jumping a little bit ahead, but thinking of him as a transition to ZZ. Francine from Rio Grande Mud from 72. B-side has that song sung in Spanish. How can you speak Spanish, or was that something you had to be set up to do? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, at the time we had been we were constantly on the move. Going from Texas, we'd stop in Las Vegas and then out to California, back to Las Vegas, then back to Texas. Our neighbors in Texas, one of my best buddies, his dad was a big shot with Standard Oil. And at the time, I guess I was 11 years old. And at that time, Standard Oil had joined the Mexican National. Pemex was in trouble down in Mexico, and they called upon my buddy's dad, and he said, "Yeah, we get to go to Mexico City. My dad's got to help them put out some. There's something that needs fixing." And I said, "Yeah, okay." And a couple of weeks went by, and my mom said, "Oh, it's your buddy. He wants to talk to you." I said, "Well, he's in Mexico." "Yeah, it's a long distance call. You better get on the phone." He said, "Can you possibly talk your parents into coming down here? It looks like we're never going to get out of Mexico." I said, "Wow, what an opportunity!" Of course, my folks were. It didn't take two. "Yeah, you want to go? Go on, come on, let's get you on down there." So my younger sister Pam and I found ourselves. It was at the first of summer. Actually, we had just gotten out of school, and we decided to get on the plane and go down there and spend our summer with our buddy and his younger sister. And the day we arrived, we had to go to school. And I said, "Wait a minute, this is summer vacation." They said, "No, the Mexican school system they don't get out for three or four more months." So I called my folks and I said, "Hey, we're staying. We have to stay in school. We're not on vacation here. We're in school." And we wound up staying for the year.
Whoa.
And in so doing, we made friends with a gang of kids that were nearby. And, of course, we started learning all the bad words you could possibly think of in Spanish, and then that led to figuring out how to put the conjugations all together. So that's where it started.
Whoa. And did it?
So, yeah, by the time we got around, I said, "What are we going to do this is back in
72.
72 was the release of Francine as a single.
Right.
And the record company said, "Okay, what's on the B-side?" And we had nothing. I said, "Well, what if we..." So we were trying to come up with something. I said, "Well, let's do a quick... let's see if we can translate and possibly make sense of the storyline." And you'll have to listen to it, but
it's great.
It actually worked. It was okay.
It's a killer jam, and it's a very Stones-ish kind of song, which
you know what? I'll dust it off, and if you'll put the good word out, come on out to the Blue Note. We'll play Francine. and we'll a show of hands. Do you want it in Spanish? We'll see what happens.
Can you speak Spanish, or just that one tune can you do?
Sí, señor. Pregúntale por qué si te va lo que no que yo soy valicanzazo aquí.
Oh, you're a bad dude, man.
Which means I'm coming to see you, and I'm bringing loud noise.
I love it. I love it. That's huge. That's really a nice thing to know. That gives you a lot of diversity. And that same record, Rio Grande Mud, you know, the guitar tone on that thing, I never realized how heavy you sounded on that. And as a huge fan of Black Sabbath, I wondered if you had heard Tony Iommi's sound, if it was an influence at all, and whether they factored into your sound in any way.
Definitely. As you and I could probably join the throng of everybody on the planet suddenly discovered there was actually bands playing the kind of music we wanted to hear coming from this weird place called England. And it's funny you should bring that up. I was just gifted with the opportunity to play Jeff Beck's customized Stratocaster during the ongoing ZZ Top Road show. I had made friends when I turned 17. Right before ZZ Top formed, I was fronting the group, the Moving Sidewalks. We had worked with Jimi Hendrix, and later we teamed up with Jeff Beck. And it was through Jeff Beck, his association with Jim Marshall allowed us to take delivery on a couple of 100-watt stacks, some of the first that came into the States.
Wow. And,
of course, that was in no small order inspired by, well, as you say, Black Sabbath just stands in the long list of many that were so inspirational. It was quite an awakening. What do they call it? The British invasion? I guess that's a fair statement.
Yeah, no, I mean, they were on the, I guess, the tail end of that 60s part, but such an influential guy and such a great tone. When I hear Just Got Paid, I was sitting there loud the other night. The neighbors were obviously listening with me. And
heavy.
It did. It just made me think of Tony. And one other one I got to get in there before I wrap it up, because I know your time is super, super tight. You mentioned Jeff. That's a great lead into this, actually, because last year I grabbed a screenshot of one of my very favorite guitar players, John McLaughlin, at the Jeff Beck tribute at the Royal Albert Hall. And I did that so that when I have John on, he's been on many, many times, so I know I'll have him on again soon, and I'll be able to, kibitz with him about this. We'll be able to talk about it. But you're in the shot, along with a Hawaii-based artist. So from left to right, if you can flash back to yourself just last year, it just gives me chills just to be able to talk about this with you. It's Kirk Hammett of Metallica on the left, John McLaughlin in the middle, and then yourself, Billy Gibbons, on the right.
It was quite a gathering, I must say. And what a fitting tribute to a guy that he joined the ranks of the likes of Jimi Hendrix, taking the Stratocaster guitar into places where you could just about guess that the designers had no clue that this instrument would turn into what it was able to do. And Jeff really he made it his own voice. It's quite impressive.
You've met so many cats. That just must have been just one moment of many, huh? But to stand next to John McLaughlin after you opened for him at Charlotte Memorial Stadium, April, actually, this month, it was Allman Brothers Band, Mahavishnu Orchestra, then ZZ Top. You guys opening for Mahavishnu Orchestra. Can you even remember that?
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, someone just recently found a snapshot of the three ZZ Toppers standing in the doorway of the Whiskey A Go-Go, and the marquee above us, it said, "Tonight, John McLaughlin and ZZ Top. Next week, Eric Burden and the Animals."
Whoa.
It's just the classic.
Unbelievable. Well, final thing I got to say, and then we'll let you go. Your Hawaii history, Steve, the mystery emailer, he sent me the whole thing, and the very beginning of it does start for you. You were opening, it was January, 2 shows at the Blaisdell Arena, opening for the Rolling Stones.
Yes. Oh, man, what great memories. The word hit the streets that the Stones had been contracted to consider going to do 3 performances, a Friday night, a Saturday matinee, and a Saturday night. And I want to say just about every band on the planet wanted to see if they could land the opening slot. Well, Barry Fay, who was promoting this gathering, somehow figured out that ZZ Top might make a good combination, and as it turns out, we had one album out, and I think Rio Grande Mud had just hit, and the Stones kind of knew about us, and when we got there. Now, I don't know if this was a good plan or a plan gone awry, but we had a 5-day window before the concert was to start, and we were staying at the Hilton Hawaii, the Rainbow Towers, right there in Waikiki. And as most would remember, there was a thatched hut. It was a famous gathering spot, the watering hole from hell. And after the second day, our manager said he made his way to the bartender, and he said, "Look," he said, "when my boys show up," he said, "they're restricted to 2 drinks." And the bartender, "Yeah, okay, that's fine." He didn't tell the manager that the drinks were 3 feet tall. But man, you talk about a wild time. We just we had a blast. We tore it up, and then of course the Stones finished the job. They just was ripping. You may remember Mick Taylor was in the lineup at that time.
Right.
And the sounds that they were making couldn't be beat. It was just something to behold.
Man, we have been blessed today to have incredible storytelling from the one, the only, Billy F. Gibbons, legendary voice and guitar of the one and only ZZ Top. William Frederick Gibbons, of course. Frederick and Lorraine, sending them so much aloha and mahalo. Your wonderful parents up there watching. I'm hoping and listening and knowing that we send them the love here. I hope you can feel it too, my brother.
Yes, sir. I think the word coming back to you, aloha, is right on front and center with us. We're looking, actually, we've been gifted with 3 nights at the Blue Note with you guys. So put on your seatbelt. We're gonna tear it up with you.
May 17th, May 18th, May 19th. It's 7 o'clock each night. A lot of bands do 2 shows a night, so these guys are going to be in perfect shape because they're not going to be worn out for any second show. You're going to be doing one perfect performance per night. And as you heard Billy say, they mix it up too, and you get a little bit of the improvisational aspect with the set list, but plenty of good stuff. I hope you had a lot of fun talking today. I hope these questions kind of inspired some fun out of you.
Oh, definitely so. This puts the icing on the cake. We're just going to take this moment of positive exchange and stay with it until we step off the plane and we're going to plug in and turn it up to 10.
I have a guitar I was hoping you'd sign. Is there any way I could coordinate with Bob Merlis to just drop in real quick and have you put I got a lot of cats already on it. I'd love to add you to it. Is that possible?
Oh, yeah. I'll put it, I'll put it in English and Spanish, and then you'll have to teach me how to do it in Hawaiian.
You don't mind? Is that okay?
Done deal.
All right, I appreciate it. You'll like some of the cats on there. It'll give you a charge seeing some of your boys are on
Cool,
there
man.
already. Well, high fives, hugs. Thank you for being so generous. Thanks for being so kind with us. And I'll look forward to seeing you when you get here. And stay safe, brother.
Yeah, man. Can't wait to get with you and the gang, and we'll be there.
Travel safe.
All right. Have mercy, it was
Awesome. Aloha, Billy.
Aloha.